Next, as schools across the Anglia region prepare to head back for a new term, there are warnings teachers are being driven out of their jobs because of shocking levels of aggression.
Yes, an investigation for ITV Regional News has found many of our teachers will be returning to face verbal and physical abuse, not just from pupils, but also parents as well.
Teachers say they've lost confidence, experienced mental health problems and suffered physical injuries. Lauren Hall has our report.
The start of the new term brings with it the usual worries about bullying, insults, intimidation, even violence. But those you'd least expect to find on the receiving end are the teachers.
It's no surprise that the person at the front of the class occasionally has to deal with a bit of bad behaviour. But what we've found goes far beyond that. Teachers facing shocking levels of aggression, both verbal and physical, not just from their pupils, but also from their parents and guardians.
A survey carried out exclusively for ITV Regional News shows it's a serious issue here in the Anglia region. More than half the teachers surveyed here say they've been verbally attacked, and nearly a quarter physically attacked by pupils. Others have experienced the same from pupils' parents or guardians, with nearly a third of teachers facing verbal abuse from them and 2% even encountering violence.
This is the behaviour file I kept at one school. This is just one term's worth of forms on behaviour.
This former English teacher kept a record of what she had to put up with from her own pupils.
A barrage of extreme abuse is quite normal, as well as swear words, being given the finger, all that on quite a daily basis.
Every day?
Oh, every day.
She's worked in several schools and says it's a widespread problem.
The level of bad behaviour was so extreme that I gave up teaching because I thought there was a high chance of my either having nervous breakdown or getting physically ill.
It's something this primary school teacher knows only too well. But her abuse didn't come from a pupil, but a parent.
I don't think it's right and I don't think it's fair. And it has had a devastating effect on me as a person.
She is not alone. Teachers across the UK told us aggression from a pupil or parent led to them taking leave from work, experiencing mental health problems or visiting a doctor. A few even required emergency medical attention, perhaps not so surprising when physical attacks include pushing, as well as hitting, kicking, biting, spitting, and the use of an object or even a weapon.
You never know what's going to happen, and sometimes I did think, am I going to get a punch to do, or am I going to get a chair across the back of my head to do? So I was afraid, yeah, very afraid.
This former maths teacher, who's asked us not to identify him, experienced abuse at a number of schools.
I would say the intensity is more from the students, but it was the same equivalent from the parents.
Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
He left teaching, and now there's concern that many others will follow. Our survey shows 20% of teachers have considered leaving the profession because of the behaviour of parents and 40% because of the behaviour of pupils. One teaching union says schools must do more to protect teachers or risk losing them.
They will not stay in the profession if they feel that going to work means they could get punched, hit or threatened. And as a society, if we want good schools and good teachers, we have to treat them better than this.
Until then, teachers will face more of the same. And at the start of this new term, many will be wondering whether to go back at all. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Well, I'm joined by Julian Stanley, Chief Executive of the organisation Teacher Support Network. Mr. Stanley, statistics show more than 50% of teachers in our region have been verbally abused by pupils and more than 20% physically attacked. What's your reaction to these figures?
Well, I'm not entirely surprised. We take around about 60,000 calls over the last 18 months or so, and of those there are around about 7,000 or 8,000 calls which are around this kind of topic. And this is because surveys we've done suggest that behaviour is getting worse both in primary and in secondary schools. And it is shocking, but it's not unsurprising then that we're seeing statistics about the numbers of teachers choosing to leave the profession, some 40% within the first 5 years of joining the profession, and many teachers who have been around for a long time looking at the door because they're not feeling enough is being done.
So who do you think is to blame? I imagine a lot of people would suggest that discipline is the problem here and that it's slipping.
Yes, well, I think it's a complicated issue. I mean, clearly there are people coming in, children coming in from homes where maybe discipline is an issue. There are families maybe struggling with disciplining their children, knowing what to do, or needing support even if they do know what to do, because it isn't always easy being a parent. Equally, we need to make sure that schools, both head teachers, the teachers themselves and the parents are talking and communicating well to make sure that these issues are being tackled, because no teacher should have to put up with any kind of physical violence. And low-level disruption, of course, has a major impact on outcomes for students, and the whole class can be disrupted if a few pupils are taking up the attention of a teacher trying to manage a class. So there are no simple solutions, but we do need to keep talking about it and setting out the ground rules when school starts this term.
Well, surely something needs to be done to prevent such high rates of abuse here, and you suggested there perhaps it starts at home.
Well, some of it's that, some of it's about continual training for teachers. A lot of the teachers we speak to talk about the fact that they don't get enough time for professional development, and some who are newly qualified are telling us that they don't feel teacher training is adequate in relation to managing pupil behaviour. And of course, it's fundamental to having a successful relationship with the whole class and to being able to assert your authority as a teacher. So I think it's a mixture of issues and they all need tackling. We would call on government to look at teacher training, to look at schools making sure that their staff feel comfortable about behaviour policies, that parents are informed about what's expected, and that children are tackled and told about what is or is not acceptable.
Mr. Stanley, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.